I'm a gnome. I don't know what kind of video this is going to become because I don't know what I'm doing.
Time to take some risks.
It is very late. So I have to make this whole gown for Anne of Green Gables. And the show opens this Thursday. I have 4 days to make this dress. Decided to skip pretty much my entire morning routine. Maybe no one will notice. Who charges $18 for overlock thread? I would say this is probably the most adventurous sewing adventure that I've ever done. It's never been this chaotic before. Maybe some of you already know that in high school I did theater, and a few weeks ago my director came to me and asked if I wanted to make a costume for one of the upcoming productions, Anne of Green Gables, and of course I accepted because my hands were eager to do something. However, I did not know that I only had 4 days, that I only had 4 days to complete this dress. I met my deadline once again. I've actually done many crunched projects in my lifetime, and I've always been able to meet my deadlines. I've just never been able to film the process because it's way too chaotic. But I have featured some footage of other crunched projects on this channel. You'll actually get to see one at the end of this video, so stay tuned for a little bonus ball gown frolic that you've never got to see before. For this project, however, I was able to catch some of the highlights of making this dress, and emphasis on highlights, like this is not a tutorial, this is not in-depth. If you've ever wondered what it's like for me to sew really, really, really fast and in a very short time frame, you're about to find out what that's like for me. So I'm just doing whatever.
Okay, time to take some risks.
Whilst I was making my mock-up, Sally came in to observe, and that's when I learned that she was the exact size that I needed to make this dress, so I forced her to be my dress form. Where are my scissors?
Which ones?
The orange ones. Here's the part where I just cut into the fabric and hope something works. You're my assistant. That's your job.
Yeah.
You don't get paid though.
What?
Is this your puffed sleeve dress? Oh! Gorgeous.
I want one.
And while we were cutting this out, the roses arrived in the mail, so that was fun. Splendid idea.
Wait, what?
I'm gonna use this. Oh! No, not, just kidding. That was not the grand reveal. There is still very much tape everywhere. Oh. Oh, they're perfect. Look at that color.
Why are there so many?
Because it came with leaves. Oh my goodness. Whoa! Hello friends. It is very late, which is why this lighting is garbage. But I'm here with my fabric on the ground because I need to start cutting this dress out. So I have to make this whole gown for Anne of Green Gables. And the show opens this Thursday. I have 4 days to make this dress. I tried to get 5 yards of this like minty satiny fabric for this dress, and they only had 4.5. I'm probably just gonna see what I can do with this and fairy godmother magic all of this into one dress, and I think I should have enough. Also, I had to buy like this. I tried to buy some chiffon to go over like the sheer layer of this dress, and the chiffon was too opaque, and like it made it look more like a wedding dress and less of a gown. And well, I mean, like wedding dresses and gowns are the same thing. I don't know. It's so I was thinking maybe I'll just use some of my like cotton voile that I have in my storage, but that also is too opaque. And so last minute I had to like Amazon Prime some material, and after like 2 hours of looking on the internet, I finally bought curtains. Once I was satisfied with my mock-up, I cut it out of my fashion fabric, which was this kind of mint green, seafoam green satin, and this is something This is some fabric I bought at Hobby Lobby, but the fabric, it did take a lot of fabric to make those puffy sleeves. I ended up purchasing 4 curtains, 2 sets of sheer voile beige curtains. I'll link them down below if you're interested. It was pretty good quality too. Like it's really soft and it didn't feel too cheap, but it was perfect for what I needed to use it for. And thank goodness for Amazon Prime, who saved me in this project. I don't know what I'd do without you. It's not sponsored. I stay stitched everything and then I pressed everything. Then I sewed my bodice together with my serger. So I'm basically just sewing based on theory that something will work. No guarantee, but so far everything's going great. Right now I'm just cutting out a sleeve pattern that I totally just made up. So this is a regular sleeve, like a regular fitted long sleeve that I'm going to be putting underneath the puffed sleeves, and I'm going to sew a bunch of tulle on the inside to keep the sleeve up. Obviously there's going to be a lot of historical creative liberties to this dress because it is for a play, and when quick changes are a thing, you can't exactly have all of the historical accuracy that you dream of. I made some ruffles from this crunchy crinoline tulle, and this was to puff up the puffy sleeves, and I sewed this tulle onto the lining. And this is where I went wrong, was attaching it to the lining made it a lot more difficult to attach the lining to the actual sleeves. So the second time I did my sleeves, I sewed the tulle into just the inside edge of the sleeve, and that worked so much better.
Yeah. Here's what they look like. Puffy sleeves. Woohoo! That's really fun.
Then I pleated the front of my bodice, and this was just something I was playing around with on my mock-up, and I decided that I liked it and wanted to put it on the actual dress. And I just loved how when the pleats overlapped, they kind of had this fishtail braided looking effect, so I decided to keep that. I forgot to press record, but I stay stitched this. There you go. So proud. And then I just serged off that extra bit. Welcome to day 2 of the Anne of Green Gables dress project. This is focus. This is what I currently have. So I have done a lot since I picked up the camera, but I have finished these little sleeve flounces, complete with lace, and I've done these ribbon things. I don't know what you'd call these, but they were in the reference photo. And I've added lace to the front. Hopefully it doesn't look too granny. And I have just pinned on some flowers just to see kind of how that would look. So my hopes and dreams for today are to get some sort of skirt going and hopefully somewhat finished. And then I situated some sort of skirt pattern and cut them from both of my fabrics. I also cut out 6-inch strips from the remaining fabric of my curtains to be those ruffles that you see on the bottom of the dress. Then I finished the bottom edge of the frills with a zigzag stitch and the top edge with my serger. And then I finished those little sleeve flounces, which I was hand sewing down in this clip. So I was using some scrap lace to do the edging on this ruffle. However, I ran out of it, and I just kind of like left it overnight because I didn't know what to do. I was like, maybe no one will notice. It's right in the front of the dress, so I feel like it is kind of noticeable. And then I just realized that like I had a section of it saved to scrapbook into my portfolio, and I think it's like just the right size. So now I'm just gonna stitch that on. Here I am attaching the skirt to the bodice. So the show opens tomorrow, and this is what I have. I have decided to skip pretty much my entire morning routine so that I have more time to work on this. Hence the reason why my hair is in a towel. I needed to try this on because the arm side was a bit tight when I did the fitting yesterday, and I think it's just because the sleeves are tight. The lining is not the right material. It's like a cotton, but I think it's a bit too like sticky, if you know what I mean. So I think I'm going to replace it with some more satin, make it a little bit more slippery and easier to wear. But I like the way it looks. It's very lovely. But yeah, I've got so much work to do today. So I'm supposed to be babysitting in like 20 minutes, but a while ago, several minutes ago, I went to the theatre to do a fitting, and I think the arm side is just slightly too large. So now I'm here in my car unpicking it until I have to go. But I would say this is probably the most adventurous sewing adventure that I've ever done. It's never been this chaotic before. It's been about 3 hours, and I decided to actually just start over completely on the sleeves, so I made entirely new sleeves. These are the old ones. The problem was that the arm side had like an inch less of fabric than it. There's some sloppy stitching here, forgive me. But like this needed to be just an inch longer, and so I just cut out new sleeves entirely. And the other thing was I replaced the lining so that it's this satin lining, so it's slippery, good for quick changes, and because it used to be this cotton, but it was just much too thick, and it was just yucky. So yeah, and then instead of this like crunchy tulle, I replaced it with just like 2 layers of regular tulle, and that also created a much more cozy, like it's not as crunchy. I love it. So now I think I'm gonna fix the waistline because it kind of like curves a little bit, and then after that we can finally get into decorating. And then to fix that waistline, all I had to do was just add a few pleats to the back, and then it straightened everything out. So luckily I didn't have to cut away any fabric and risk making any weird shapes. Just kidding, I did not do embellishments. I hemmed the dress. I totally forgot to do that. I had a lot of trouble hemming this dress for some reason, and because I was trying to do a 6-inch hem, which was way too much, so I ended up cutting off 3 inches of the hem and reserging both layers. And then I pressed and pinned my hem again, and the best way I found to do this method is to just fold your fabric over your ruler until you hit however long it needs to be. So in my case it was 3 inches, and then I pinned that, and I had to add a few tucks and a few pleats just to get that skirt inside the circumference that it needed to fit in, but it's just kind of hard to do that and make it look all neat and pretty, so I don't know, I just did my best. And then I hand sewed a blind hem stitch around both layers of the skirt. This was, you know, I wanted to do a blind hem stitch just to kind of keep the historical aspects of the hand sewing, because I didn't want any visible machine stitching. However, this became a problem because I don't believe well, there was a petticoat being worn, but it wasn't long enough to reach the bottom of the skirt, and so it left that stitching exposed, and some of the threads would catch on our actress's boots, and then it would pull and gather that satin layer underneath, which you couldn't see from the audience, but we found out this was a problem like opening night, and so I just took it home and then machine stitched that hem so that it would be suitable for performing in. I didn't have to machine stitch the other one, but that's just something I changed later. I thought it would be important if you knew that. Okay, here's where we are currently standing right now. So I still need to bedazzle the skirt. I have like 2 hours. I don't know. Yeah, so I finished the sleeves, got them. There's some shortcuts were taken, as you can see, but there's not much left I can do with how much time I have. But mainly I got a zipper installed and the lining. Let me show you the lining. It's pretty. It's like this pink color and got my own little label in there. Okay, bedazzle time. And to add more chaos to this project, I burned the frills. This was because there were just a lot of frayed or flyaway threads that it would just have taken me too long to cut them all off, so I found a good method by means of fire. This clip was taken just hours before my deadline, and I was really frantic, so I didn't pick up the camera, but I managed to gather and stitch on all of my ruffles, and so I did 2 ruffles, and then I did 2 layers of lace, and then another layer of kind of like this applique lace at the top. I was feeling like really stressed at this point. I was like looking at my watch like every 5 minutes because I was literally I was working like down to the very minute. I don't think I've ever crunched a project like this hard before, but I had, it was a fun challenge, and my back was hurting, and I was shoving chocolate covered cinnamon bears in my mouth just to keep me going, and watching all the Disney movies on slow flicks in Slovene. But I had fun, and the last detail was hand sewing on this little vine ribbon along with the roses, and for the roses I had to disassemble them. They are about this big, and this is kind of a little bulky for a dress, and so most synthetic fake flowers you can just disassemble, and I only used like 2 layers, just the very smallest petals. If I can get this off. And then I would just cut away this plastic part so it's shorter. And then I work with my needle kind of going up through the bottom and then around, then just kind of like weave it around the petals and then up through the bottom. Just go around the flower a few times until it stays. But yes, I was mainly working with just this. And what I loved about the roses was it gave just this beautiful pop of color to the dress. Really make it look like Anne was going to a ball. And I just thought the pink just added such like a girly touch to it. And so, you know, it's like a costume a dress that Anne can feel like her beautiful princessy feminine self. And so I think the roses were definitely my favorite detail of the dress. I also didn't talk much about that belt that I made, but there's like this sash that I made. It just has 2 hook and eyes at the back, but it kind of just cinches everything in. It has a canvas layer in between, and it's made with this sort of upholstery fabric, which paired really nicely with the pale green. And this upholstery fabric isn't like crunchy or anything. It's nice and soft and has a nice flow to it. So I made a sash out of that. Here she is in all her glory. Once again finished at the last second. think they really liked it. So I'm really happy that I got to do this project and add that to my portfolio. I hope you enjoyed watching me scramble and pull my hair out. So unfortunately you don't get a reveal of me wearing this dress, but as promised I do have some footage of me wearing this ball gown that I made a few years ago for a masquerade birthday party. Enjoy! Well friends, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will be coming out with more tutorials. I've got some fun projects planned, and maybe a little bit too many planned. Anyway, love you, bye! I am making a witch hat. This time, I really don't know what I'm doing. One time, when I was a child, I wanted to be a witch because you know how much I love my ostrich feathers. I became obsessed with the Salem witch trials. I was intrigued, but my mom wanted me to be a felt fedora. And naturally I wasn't happy about that. I started with just kind of attacking. I keep bonking into door frames. Be cautious with your bright red shoes with sequins on them. It's going to involve a piece of cardboard, so I was kind of gonna go for like a nice cute little cardboard at one point in my life. My friend told me that there's a lot of things we can and can't do. By the end of the day, I had had very little social interaction. She's probably my favorite, so I'll probably name one of my kids after her. Yeah, it's weird. It can be like a weird adjustment. Basically, all you need to know about me is sometimes I can't tell if I'm sad or not. Helen Keller and Annie Sullivan create drama in my life just to make it interesting. So I hope it stays that way, but you never know. But I've also learned being hated isn't that bad. I'm a gnome. Wait, hold on a second. Do I remind you of anybody? Stop refusing me. Here she is, witch hat. I'm an upper class witch. But of course it won't be easy. So he would like you to meet with him to discuss any arising issues. Fortunately, we have long since planned for a flood of refugees and have done everything in our power to provide an economically stable system. There's like a random script in the middle of my notes. I don't know why it's on these 2 random pages, but it's just there. What I learned from this project was... I don't know, I feel like I didn't learn that much.
So I went to go get some thread because I ran out of white thread, so I always buy, like, what is this? Overlock thread because it's cheaper to buy, like, everything in bulk. And I was, like, scanning my items, and I scan it, and it was $18! I went back and I got this, like, the 3,000 yards. I got 2 of them. Guess how much I paid? $2. Who charges $18 for overlock thread? That's like almost $20, which is almost $27, which is how much I spent on this 4 yards of chainmail fabric. Isn't this so cool? I wanted to get it so bad. Anyway, sorry. I just thought that was funny.
Someone tell me why we don't do masquerade balls anymore. Why? Like, where else am I going to wear this? What am I gonna do? Like, I don't own this for nothing.